Good morning, everyone. Smart manufacturing solutions should be incredibly valuable to manufacturing companies. It seems obvious that improved visibility, quicker response times, and predictive capabilities, and much more, should lead to reduced downtime, increased quality, better throughput, and reduced costs in manufacturing. The technologies themselves are generally not that hard to get up and running either. So, why are so few companies achieving their goals when implementing these solutions? In this webinar, we'll address why achieving the desired outcomes is so hard and detail an approach that will help you realize the value you desire from these Industry 4.0 programs. When many companies talk about value, they're discussing the theoretical value projects may achieve as part of the business case used when justifying the investment. But few companies maintain a focus on actually realizing the projected value over the course of their initiative. Smart manufacturing solutions should be incredibly valuable to manufacturing companies. It seems obvious that improved visibility, quicker response times, and predictive capabilities should lead to those reduced downtimes. So, as usual, there's not more, or excuse me, as usual, there's more than a single root cause of failure. But many of these causes can be summarized as too much focus on the technology itself and not enough focus on how to take advantage of those new capabilities to realize actual monetary value through improved performance and reduced costs. And what we're going to do today is talk about what are the things that you can do as a company to really maximize your probability of success and drive adoption and drive ROI from these different initiatives. So, what I'm here today to discuss is another path. Whether these tasks are being performed internally by the manufacturer or if they're being assisted by an external group, these activities should be performed as part of every smart manufacturing implementation. At a high level, it's not rocket science. There's nothing in this list that is new to anyone in the audience today. And yet, as we go through the list, I don't know of any smart manufacturing initiatives at any company where all of these principles are being followed. So, first off, begin with the end in mind. The probability of reaching your goals is much higher when those goals are actually defined. Multiple portions of the initiative will work better together, better decisions will be made along the way, and there will be much more alignment in different parts of your team if there is a common vision of what is the true north of the initiative. Do the basics right. This may be a smart manufacturing or Industry 4.0 initiative that uses technology such as AI or machine learning, but success still depends on the basics such as change management, communication, and project management. Driving adoption. There are some technologies that are embedded into the manufacturing process itself and do not require much interaction with your people. For most of the solutions in this space, though, success depends on how well the solution is embraced and used by the people in the organization. Adapt existing processes. If the same activities are being done the same way by the same people after implementing the solution, chances are the performance of the process is going to be the same as it is today, too. Fundamentally, something has to be done differently tomorrow in order for there to be value driven from the solution. Measure the impact and iterate. Lord Kelvin was the first to say that you can't improve what you don't measure. You should take a baseline at the start of the initiative and then measure progress at every step along the way. And we'll go through each of these in detail. So, most organizations embarking on an Industry 4.0 journey aren't just doing it because everyone else is talking about it. There's usually some particular problem they're trying to solve. They may be looking to do a predictive maintenance on some particularly vexing piece of equipment. Maybe they're looking to, improve overall quality. A few have even developed multi-year roadmaps of different use cases or technologies that they want to put in place. But I have yet to engage with any company that has a complete vision of what the future state looks like, that is driven by a detailed business case of how they will drive value. None have detailed the cultural and process changes that will be required in order to take full advantage of new technology capabilities. Nobody has been able to express the true north that guides their initiative towards a clearly defined purpose. Without any of these things, any roadmap that they have put together is bound to be incomplete at best, and at worst may lead them down the wrong path. If you come out of this presentation with just one concrete action to take, it should be to create clear definition of those items I just listed, even if it's only done at a high level. At Visual Decisions, we have worked with Sesame on their smart manufacturing assessment and roadmap. This is an industry standard approach to documenting where your organization is today, where you want to be, what would be the worth to the organization, and what are the steps to get there. It's a high level, quick engagement that provides a framework your company can then build upon to continue fleshing out the details. That's only one approach to getting started. There are other ways to create the vision. We also offer a more bespoke, detailed process to help you map out the vision in more detail. You may choose to do it all internally as well. But my strongest recommendation today is to create this vision prior to making any large investments in any solutions. Now, this may seem basic, but one of the keys to success with these initiatives is to address the fundamentals. Far too often, smart manufacturing initiatives are started within a small team and treated like a group research project instead of a business transformation program. Here's a partial list of the basics that we believe need to be a part of the planning for every implementation. Change management. At VDI, we're a fan of John Cotter's work from Harvard, but there are many different frameworks out there to lead and manage change within the organization. All the frameworks have common core elements, such as building a broad base of people as early and as often as possible, having clear and frequent communication throughout the process, developing a clear vision and sharing that vision throughout the company, empowering employees, finding the wins for each of the stakeholders, generating quick wins to build momentum, and more. I'll talk in more detail about our project management methods in another presentation, but the key for now is to utilize any thorough project management methodology for your program. These implementations are complex and can involve many different technologies and touch many organizations within your company. Using a well defined project management approach will help keep things on time and on budget. Having clear roles and ownership is one of the critical contributions of these approaches. Because these initiatives can and should involve so many people within and even outside the company, it's important to have a strategy around collaboration. For many projects, the stakeholders could also include suppliers, customers, other partners, etc. So, having a framework for how to bring all these groups together and align everyone's efforts is important. We have based our approach on strategic doing, which was created by Ed Morrison out of Purdue University. You don't have to use that same framework, but it's critical to have an approach in mind. You should go into these efforts assuming that the workforce is going to need some upskilling in various areas. Be sure to get an accurate assessment of the current skills of the workforce, identify what will be needed to achieve your vision, run a gap analysis, and then put plans in place to train the workforce to close those gaps. As someone with a lean manufacturing background, I detest rework. Understanding the larger picture of what your company wants to put in place over the next 3 to 5 years is important so that you don't choose short term solutions that won't fit into a long term picture. Just as a post or other immovable object on the shop floor can be referred to as a monument that has to be worked around, these quote unquote dead end technologies become monuments within your company. Utilizing a set of guidelines for technology attributes that any solution should follow can be very helpful. SESME, the Clean Energy and Smart Manufacturing Innovation Institute, uh, out of NIST, has published a set of 7 principles that are a really good start here. There are other basics to consider, but this list is a good start to make sure that you're setting your company up for long term success. As I mentioned earlier, most smart manufacturing solutions are still reliant on people to some extent or to a great extent. The people in your company still have to use the new solutions for them to provide value. Even if it's an AI solution, they still have to take the output of that AI and actually do something with that output in order to make things better. So many of the companies that never progressed beyond the pilot phase have failed because they really never got the backing and the participation from the people in the organization. So here's a few steps to help ensure your program gets the adoption it requires. Focus on behaviors and habits. What is it that you actually want people in various roles doing with your system? What are the specific behaviors that you're trying to drive on the shop floor or within the support staff? BJ Fogg's model for behavior is very helpful here. Behavior equals motivation plus ability plus prompt. So, what are the motivations of the people? How can you increase their ability to perform the tasks in question? How do you reduce any friction that's standing in the way? How can you prompt when those actions should be taken? All of that is very possible to do with these smart manufacturing or Industry 4.0 solutions. But the last element of this framework is important too. When those tasks are performed, celebrate that to build positive association in people's minds. A related topic is that of standard work. There can be very powerful synergy between standard work and driving adoption of these solutions. And this isn't just for operators either. Standard work concepts apply to leadership and support staff as well. For instance, your company may want to implement standardized problem solving methodologies as a part of your rollout. The smart manufacturing solutions can be embedded within each step of that standardized process. This benefits the organization by having a common approach to problem solving across the entire staff, but it also helps to ensure that people are utilizing the solution on a regular basis. At Visual Decisions, we are very obviously big fans of making things as visual as possible. One of the customers we worked with years ago had a phrase that has stuck with me: make the ugly visible. By that, he meant that if you hide problems behind the curtain or sweep them under the rug, they tend to get ignored. But if you put the ugly front and center, there's much more incentive to do something about it. That's absolutely one aspect of visual that I'm referring to here. But there's also the concept of visual controls within the facility. Lean has a big emphasis on making things visual and utilizing those controls to influence the behaviors of people. We are very strong believers of that concept, but we believe that having live information coming from the shop floor can be even more effective at guiding people to the behaviors you're seeking than some of the traditional lean controls. Having that information out there and visible at all times also helps drive additional adoption of these systems. Another one of my favorite phrases from a customer is that process improvement is a participation sport. This plant manager ensured that the IoT system put in place got adoption from everyone by putting a TPM Tuesday practice in place. Each week, the lines would stop production for an hour, the operators, supervisors, maintenance teams, engineering, etc., would all gather together at the line and look at the data from the previous week. They would then pick out one of the top 3 reasons for downtime over the past 7 days and brainstorm solutions to the issue. In that plant, literally everyone used the IoT solution on a regular basis. And finally, you want to avoid big brother syndrome. Many of these solutions can feel intrusive to people on the shop floor. They can feel like they're being watched and monitored to document any behavioral issues. This is particularly true for certain solutions, such as video analytics. It's important to get ahead of these concerns and let people know that the solutions are not intended for those purposes, but are instead intended to help improve the business performance so that the whole plant will thrive. It also helps to involve the people in the process during the selection and implementation and so forth to do things to empower the workforce over the long run, such as the TPM Tuesday idea up above. This is really just scratching the surface, but these ideas will help ensure that people in your organization use these systems on a daily basis to improve operations. I've been using a Fitbit for over 11 years now. And in that time, I've probably put on about 20 pounds. It's really not the Fitbit's fault. It's a great IoT device. But wearing a Fitbit doesn't automatically make you thinner. You still have to change your process each day with better diet and more exercise. It's the same thing on the shop floor. Putting smart manufacturing systems out there alone won't make the difference between where you are today and where you want to be in the future. Fundamentally, you have to do things differently tomorrow than they're done today in order to affect real improvements in performance. And this not only applies to the operators again, but to all the support teams as well. Out of the 5 pillars, this is the one with the lengthiest list of potential actions to take. The thoughts here are just, again, scratching the surface of how to adapt your processes to take full advantage of the new digital capabilities. The first is to adapt the manufacturing process itself. That's the most fundamental step to take value. If you break down one of your manufacturing processes into its individual actions, where can you enhance, augment, simplify, automate, expedite, eliminate, or standardize those steps using the technical capabilities of that your smart manufacturing system provides? Digital lean is another one. Whether you have a formal continuous improvement process today or not, a digital lean program should be part of your plans to get the maximum value from your smart manufacturing investment. You don't have to do a full blown lean implementation, but taking aspects of that will help create a culture of data driven improvement with high levels of automation between your systems and your lean practices, driving improvement much faster than traditional operational excellence practices alone. Many smart manufacturing implementations are focused on keeping machines up and running more effectively. There are ways to use the capabilities of your new solution to increase the mean time between failures, such as predictive capabilities, condition based maintenance, optimization of preventive maintenance tasks, augmenting the autonomous maintenance programs, and much more. But there can also be integration to your maintenance management system in order to minimize the mean time to repair. This integration can help speed reaction time, improve diagnostic capabilities using AI, and much more. Among the first changes that you should put in once you have the solution up and running is to alter your leadership practices. If management is using the data during stand up meetings, Gemba walks, and really throughout their own daily practices, it will set the tone for the rest of the staff to utilize the information in their practices as well. It will also drive better decision making uh, because you're doing it more with more data. Consider setting up a complete digital management operating system as a long term goal for your smart manufacturing program. And again, this is just scratching the surface. Other processes that you should consider involving within this and how they do their jobs: quality, material handling, inventory management, process engineering or industrial engineering, product development, engineering, IT, OT, finance, HR, pretty much everybody. And finally, it's also critically important to measure the impact of what you're doing. This is helpful for making course corrections, retaining the attention and funding from leadership, maintaining focus from the core team, helping to drive adoption, and more. So let's take a look at some of the most important points. Many of the implementations in smart manufacturing will be collecting data from the process. This data can and should be used over time to track how much of an impact is being made during the implementation. Prior to starting the implementation, there should be agreement on which KPI or key performance indicators will be used to measure the impact of the program. These KPIs should be baselined at the beginning of the implementation so that progress can be measured. Some thought and some intention should go into the selection of those KPI. What are you trying to achieve overall? Which areas do you think will drive the financial impact for the project? What are the behaviors that you're trying to instill within the organization? These factors and more should go into that decision. It's generally easier to track the functional impact of these projects since that direct data exists on the shop floor. However, it should also be a goal of your overall smart manufacturing program to document the translation between the functional metrics and financial ones. Not only will this help measure the success of your initiative, but it can also help clarify the actions that need to be taken on a day to day basis on the shop floor. One tactic that we have found to be very helpful is to utilize a quarterly health check for the implementation. First and foremost, are the goals and targets laid out to justify the project being met? If so, great, let's keep going. If not, then start to dig into why that's the case. What is the status of the software and hardware? Is it collecting accurate data that's being made easily available to the people who need it? How is the adoption going? Can you track who is logging into the system and how often? How broad is the usage? How deep are people getting into the system to get the most out of it? What process changes have been implemented in order to take advantage of the new capabilities? Once you have this information, then you can make any necessary course corrections in your implementation plan. Perhaps you need to adopt a stronger focus on the cultural or process improvement aspects. Maybe the technology implementation itself needs to be modified. But putting these health checks in place will help give you the information you need to stay on track and to meet your objectives. So that was a quick run through through of how to maximize the ROI from smart manufacturing. If you'd like more detail on the program or to discuss it with me directly, please follow up through any of the methods on the screen. The QR code will take you to the Visual Decisions website for more information. Thank you.